we met a few weeks ago at an Alto
did.
event, probably a couple of months ago now, and I
Yeah.
really enjoyed our chat then, and I've been looking forward to this a lot.
Thank you.
Something I have been really excited to ask you, can you please explain how Coke Zero has a 3.5-star health rating?
Oh gosh, you really jump in the deep end.
Going straight in.
Okay. So what you're talking about, health star rating, obviously, is the label on the front of a lot
Yep.
of processed foods, packaged foods, and broader food items in the Australian market. It's about a 10-year-old system, and it's what we call an interpretive labelling system. So it's trying to make sense of that nutrition panel on the back, the ingredients list that you basically need a PhD to understand. Let's be honest, and 27 hours in the day. It's trying to make that as simple as possible. There are lots of different systems around the world. The one we have here, we kind of invented with New Zealand. And the way it works is that it actually compares, so first of all, the nutrients, so the amount of sugar, the amount of fat, the amount of salt in that product compared to other products in the same category.
Right.
And that's the clincher. That's the important part. Because you might have a food that's not very healthy, but healthier than all its brothers and sisters in that category. So think about like breakfast cereals. You could have 20 breakfast cereals that are packed with sugar. If one is slightly less packed with sugar, it could end up actually looking okay. Also, the other criticism is that you might end up with something that's 1 star. Well, many people would look at a food that's 1 star and say, hey, it's got 1 star. That means it's relatively, like there's some goodness to it. But actually 1 star is a complete failure.
Right.
So there are some flaws to the system. The reason that Coke Zero or zero sugar drinks tend to do okay in the system is because compared to their full sugar cousins, they're not as healthy. I personally don't drink drinks with artificial sweeteners because there is emerging evidence that they're associated with other diseases, including potentially an increased risk of chronic disease. But that's why. So the industry finds little loopholes. And unfortunately, while there's lots of strengths and it's better than nothing, the health star rating does have some limitations.
Right. So in short, it's a relative health star rating, a relative health rating.
That's right. To the other products in the category. So it's not, is this product healthy? Yes, no. It's, is this product healthier or less healthy on balance than all the other options if I want a sugary drink?
Yeah, that makes sense because I have a can of Campbell's vegetable soup with barley, and that's also 3.5 stars.
Okay.
And
So it becomes very confusing. You're like, wait, a Campbell's can of soup and a zero sugar soft drink,
they're not the same.
Get the same number of stars.
Right.
Really confusing.
Yeah.
Well, that's why, because they're not comparing you're not comparing apples and oranges. You're comparing apples with its cousin apples and oranges with its cousin oranges.
And not even well by the sounds of things. So you would, if you had to pick between a Coke and a Coke Zero, you would pick
choose
the
neither,
Coke.
obviously.
Obviously. But if someone put a gun to your head and said you're being unhealthy for the day, you would choose the regular Coke?
No, look, I mean, both have risks. I don't know what I would pick, to be honest. I mean, so obviously normal soft drink, normal cola is really high in sugar, weight gain, diabetes, a whole bunch of risks. Also just makes you feel pretty crappy about an hour and a half after you drink it. It's got lots of caffeine as well. Whereas the fake sugars, I mean, it is an emerging area of science, but there is, credible evidence that they're a risk of chronic disease as well. So I'm going to have to dodge that question, but I'd probably try and have it neither if I could.
Cokes a day?
Yeah.
I mean, how bad is that? And in the morning, they would start at 10, 11 a.m.
Yeah, so, I mean, there is... colas are addictive in nature because they contain caffeine. Right. So just like coffee, if you wake up and you don't have a caffeinated beverage, you feel pretty rubbish. You can, it actually affects the blood flow in your brain, and what happens is that basically it makes you feel nauseated, gives you headaches, can affect your vision, gives you a dry mouth. Like it's not a very fun withdrawal kind of set of symptoms. So there's the caffeine in the beverage, but the other, of course, issue is we know, for example, like fake sugar drinks, generally people still consume as many calories even when they're eating fake sugar drinks. So it's not a very good way of trying to lose weight. You actually kind of trick your brain into thinking that it's had something sweet. It expects then an energy boost, it doesn't get it, and then it goes looking for energy elsewhere.
So it makes you hungrier.
So it can make you hungrier, and overall, people don't tend to lose weight drinking low sugar drinks because your body actually compensates. You're kind of trying to trick your body's smarter than that, unfortunately. Then there's the caffeine itself, and then there's what you're offsetting. So you're not drinking water, which in turn can make you feel pretty crappy because you become dehydrated, constipated, and everything else that comes with it. So yeah, I'd be conscious probably of drinking 5 or 6 cans of Diet Cola a day. I'd be trying to look for something, else that you could be drinking. Of course, then in addition to all that, we haven't even talked about the impacts on your teeth. It's a very acidic product. It actually erodes the enamel on your teeth. So even though it doesn't have sugar, it can still increase the risk of tooth decay. Dentists are expensive, and quite frankly, I try to avoid the dentist any time I can.